that mean okay? Does that mean I have to behave now?
Yes, 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 yes. Stop showing me your balls and this is now we're recording for real. So this is the 42nd episode. 42. 42 is the answer to the universe, right?
Yeah, and it's your age as well. So there we go.
Oh, it is my age, isn't it? There we go. And it's our eighth session. You know what? I forgot to actually verify that. I'll find out before I title this. I believe it's our eighth, which is a record. You are the longest guest by double, at least. I might have somebody with three or something, but you don't have, if you want the other record, which is the longest podcast, single podcast, that Peter Wall, he has it for close to 6 hours and 39 minutes or something. So if you're ready for a marathon, 6 hours and 39 minutes and going for that record, you can do it. And then I think that was even beaten, but there were two people. It was two, Chris Adams and Brandon Ruff, and they came in at different times. So that's another record. You could go for that and do the all-time longest podcast as
Is
well.
there another record I could vie for
Yeah,
besides the longest and the most?
shortest,
Sure.
the least, maybe the least watches. I have a couple with
Least
only
watch, least
two views.
interesting.
Yeah, yours are pretty hot. Actually, some of ours, it depends. I do have another podcast tomorrow morning for me, in the evening for in America, and then so I'll upload them close together. Sometimes it's weird, the algorithms that sometimes that they can boost each other. Sometimes one overshadows the other. I like looking at analytics and just seeing, like, trying to figure out stuff, but there's no rhyme or reason, or the rhyme or reason is just too complex to identify.
Ah, you need to send that through AI and it'll give you the answer.
Yeah, no, AI is huge. AI's uh
No,
yeah,
analytics. I mean, that's what the AI is good for.
oh
You know,
yeah,
you
yeah,
see.
absolutely. It's just, I would need more access to probably a deeper, they only offer so many analytics.
You
The
got to pay for
analytics are
that.
deeper. Like, parlay type analytics, this and this, like multiple things, factors. It's really just single factors. I'd really need to, like, uh,
So what's the most watched video of yours? A podcast.
well, it's actually some of my more recent ones, which is good. That means that in general, they're picking up steam slowly but surely. And yeah, the biggest ones are, I think was 39 or 38, and then before that is 30. Yeah, so they're progressively getting better. I don't think it's necessarily because of although
39
some
people?
people have a following. Like I have some people who, that it's posted on their page. They have a larger group that they're watching it because of them, not because of me. So but overall, I've noticed it picking up each time, but it's still very small, and it's really not what I'm going for. It would be cool, in some ways, to, who know, but
39 people?
what? No, that's my 39th episode was my.
Oh, how many people watched it?
I don't know why I have it. I see what I do. What I did see, I had a YouTube account during my MMA career, and I just had one, and I was so obsessed with getting a lot of views, and I had one with 1 million views. The funny thing is, I did the Lizginka dance, which is this Dagestanian dance that they do, and it's before Khabib, before people even knew really about Dagestan. I went there, I trained there with the Olympic. That's where their Olympic training center is. Nobody really knew about that. I don't know if you even know who Khabib is, but he was big, UFC champion that came from that region and stuff. And I was doing the Liz Ginga dance before that and everything, and which is, yeah, this Koskov dance. They wear this wig and do this, and just because I said it, and it was early on. This is like, early 2000s or mid 2000s, I'd say 2008 or 2009, and um and yeah, so it just blew up. You don't always have control. It wasn't it wasn't even my whole fight. It was just the end of it. And it was just recorded on somebody's phone. But but so but the point is, I was so obsessed with getting views that I had all my fights on there, and I had them on DVDs, and I recorded them onto YouTube. It took me a while to figure out how to do it. I was always like trying to just do it. I finally figured out how to do it. Some of my fights I'd watched on the DVD so much they were scratched that they wouldn't upload. So I only had like a small percentage of my fights, but I still had a decent collection. And then luckily when I was like spun out of my mind, maybe on some night, I made some fake account, or I made other accounts and uploaded these like highlight reels. So I have some of those still in existence, but my main YouTube account, it got shut down because when you walk out, there's music playing. And then also they were real, there's a certain era when they were real hard on copyright. Now, if you use something that's copyrighted, they just automatically give your video to whoever owned that copyright, but it still gets to stay up, which would be fine with me. At least I'd have it. But during this time, for whatever reason, they shut it down. It could have been my fights, because technically I fought on Showtime once and I didn't own the rights to it. So I did sign, I remember signing something saying that I didn't own it. And by me uploading it was technically illegal copyright infringement, even though it's me fighting, they owned the rights to that fight. And I did sign away those rights, but I just wanted my fights up there. Point being, I lost all of my fight, all of my everything, because what I didn't do was upload it to Facebook, upload it to all these Vimeo or whatever, because I wanted to consolidate it in one place. So I would take that URL to the YouTube video and post that on Facebook. You would get less traffic there because sometimes people don't want to click the link. They rather watch it in the scene. So my point is, now what I do, I upload it to Spotify, Rumble, I put it on Facebook, I put it on Twitter, and I just post them, the raw footage, in many different locations. So it's actually hard to count them all up. I could sit back and count them. So different people watch them on different platforms, and that's more user friendly. It's not, I'm not gonna, and it's safer. Now, if one channel goes down, I've got other channels. I wish I would have done that and not been so arrogantly wanting views, and just realize the importance to have, if I would have uploaded it to Facebook straight, Facebook has a video thing. I could have uploaded it straight to Facebook, but instead I only did YouTube and I lost all that. So the point is, it is hard to count the things because I put them on all different platforms.
Is it okay if I turn off the video?
Yep.
Okay, at least I can do that. I forgot how to do that. There we go. Let's see. There you go. Is that it? There you go. Okay, good.
Robert Habibi.
Yeah. So why is 39 why then do you think that your 39 episode is the best or the most watched?
I don't know. I think, well, like I said, we're only on 42, so as it is getting progressive, but that is the second show I had with Brody Farber, he's got a pretty good Instagram following. So when he posted, he had a lot of people. He's actually the one who he got me my first fight. He was doing MMA. He was wrestling with me. And so we had some good conversations. I think our conversations were good and it's worth watching. We talked about actually some deep things that actually could be interesting for us to follow up on. And it's kind of dealing with politics. Okay, because what I do after the video's over, I take a clip. I try to take, sometimes I do more than one and I post those clips and then I'll post where the video is. Because, that's true. Actually, this one I don't post on Facebook. I just post the clips on Facebook and YouTube. It is actually only on Rumble, Twitter, and Spotify, because sometimes I say things that are could be conspiracy theories or misinformation or malinformation or disinformation. So I don't, whatever. But in that one, that was actually an interesting thread. Is the reason you're asking? Because you're looking for something to follow up on? Because there is an interesting thread. I say that same things that seem to be recurring, and that's what Peter Wall was really wanting to know. What are the threads? What are the threads? And I had a hard time coming up with it. And it is, for me, there is a there is a conflict of my kind of underlying philosophies that I've had growing up, and he shared some of them with me. What those were generally atheistic views. Not some people say atheism, they think it's scientism or materialism, which is not true, because I'm not a materialist. I also don't. I'm. Some people call science a religion. It's not. Real science, like my background is in the philosophy of science as an undergrad, and it's also always about falsification. So I still love science. I do believe there are people who treat science as a religion where it's like stagnant, but it's always changing and it needs to be challenged. And I have some serious challenges, which we could go into sometime, on like evolution. But still, as a whole, I think evolution is necessary to understand the universe that we're living in, especially biologically. At the same time, I do think there are some underlying spiritual components, and even from like a super spiritual component, I look at evolution as the change through time, but kind of like in theory of relativity, where time is actually a dimension, and it's just how we experience the expression, but it actually is already like exist in a certain thing. So you could say like it could tie in to like, okay, well, that's God. So this is what I'm getting to. This is the one theme. So it's possible that the reason some videos, I'm not gonna say viral because I don't think I even have one that's over 100 views yet, but some might pick up a little more steam is maybe it resonates with somebody. But how would they know it resonates with them? Because it's a long podcast. Nobody's gonna listen to the whole thing. So it are these little clips that I put out. If that clip resonates with them, and it might not even be our whole talk, might actually only talk about that for a little bit, but I tried to pick some good clips that we did touch up on, and it was towards the end of our conversation, and I brought it up. And I recently had one with another friend who is from high school and stuff, and he's real like conservative Christian, and so I've always been. That's my point, is that I would always consider myself more liberal on my ideology, and definitely a-religious. Like I was kind of negative against religion is what I'd say. But and so my guest Brody Farber as well had a similar mentality. But in recent times, we are both recognizing like, wow, there's actually some one of the things is just this idea of absolute truth, or objective morality, these things that are kind of tied into some underlying Christian value, some good old fashioned
CD,
yeah.
When it comes to religion, I always remember this when Marco Polo was traveling from Italy all the way to China. One of the things that he said that really resonated with me is that wherever he went, where they had religion, like Islam, for example, they were more civilized, as opposed to places where they were more barbaric because they didn't really have any kind of a religion to give them some kind of moral ground, or
Yeah.
I don't know. But so yeah, I'm also non-religious. Grew up, being never anti-religion, but never religious. So just both my parents. My father he wasn't against religion, but he just never talked about it. And my mother kept it to herself. So I grew up not being against religion, but also not having any religion.
Mm-hmm.
But I understand the value of religion for people, especially in out, like in Kazakhstan, like when he was traveling through Kazakhstan and Kyrgyzstan and Uzbekistan, all those places, they had Islam, and that had a major civilizing influence on them.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, so that's my 2 cents on religion.
Yeah. No.
I don't know how we got on that.
That's my because I when we look at some of the like I mean, what's going on in America right now, there's and obviously with elections and everything, there's just going to be like cultural wars and just divisions and things like this, and I just see myself, I've got my own set of values. I'm still not, I don't take stories of Jesus to be literal, although I think those stories persist, the fundamental, so those stories actually represent much older stories. I'm more in line with like ancient civilizations that kind of predated our modern history, which includes Jesus and everything. So like I don't, and so I've got issues with like looking at things too literal. The other one is, of course, I've always just been attracted to Asia. And even if, let's just say, even if the miraculous stories of Jesus were actually true, it would have been to save the Jewish people specifically. It wouldn't, that wouldn't have been, you know, I hate to, it probably sounds blasphemous to say, like, if I were God, I would do this, but it's definitely very, that whole situation is very specific to a group of people. To expect that to carry on over to like the civilizations, you know, along the Yellow River or whatever, sort of Asian Indus Valley, and all these other great cultures that were, you know, developing, you know, specifically like Buddhism and stuff like it doesn't, that those things don't make sense to me. But then I'm starting to think, you know what, I always got so down on that stuff is actually is not really what matters. The point is that there's these values that underlie them. My other argument, though, in the past, like maybe 10 years ago or something, when people would say things like, you know, you need religion to you know, then it would always come up, this morality thing. Like, I don't want to say that I mean, I just, to me, if you need a God to tell you what's moral and not, then you're kind of an untrustworthy person. That's always kind of been my stance. Like why? Like, because they ask me, well, you don't believe in God? Where, like, then you don't believe in good? You're evil. You're run around and eat babies. So then it does make me. It's made me question more. Okay, where is that morality coming from? Then what? How do I? I mean, it's hard to put my finger on where does it come from. I tend to believe that I know what I mean, I am, but this is where the difficulty comes in, is like this. I have always taken it like a more relative stance, like, well, it is a case by case scenario. Certain things may, you know, I just trust in myself that if I'm put in a situation, I'm going to, you know, act appropriately. But again, sometimes you might not, anybody might not, you know, if you're under pressure and you don't have time to think. But for the most part, I
or,
don't
if
feel
you're in a
like,
position where you could have your way, you know, if you're in a powerful position where you could do as you please, uh, then there are no constraints. Then it's only your conscience or your religion that will constrain you from doing harm or evil to others.
well, yeah, exactly. And that was always the argument for the people that have religion, and they say, but I don't, I don't see that. I don't know if, do you need religion to like scare you into being good, or does it? I always say it comes from inside, and some people could twist it and say, well, that's God, and if that's the case, then I'm okay with that. But to me, whatever is this quote unquote God is internal, and it's being expressed through everything. Like, everything is one. Like, I have a difficult time looking at a creator. I don't look at God as a creator separate from our realm. To me, it's, our realm is an expression of what is, whatever it is, and we can call that God. I'm okay with that, but it's not something separate from me. It's not something it would be something that, in order to do that, so yeah, it would, like you did mention, that is your conscience, opposed to like there, it's not something from the outside, some moral code that is cast upon me, but it comes from within. And so I mean, to have my way with people, I don't believe if I were given that power. I mean, I could. I mean, I could be in a position where I could, you know, abuse people. I mean, I live way out in the farm. I've got a wife and son who are, you know, defenseless against me if I wanted to. I mean, it doesn't cross my mind, like, why, you know, why it's not. There's not like some godly moral code that's preventing me from, you know, harming my loved
Well,
ones.
I think that the majority of people
Yeah.
um, will not do evil intentionally go harm others. But unfortunately, it's the quote unquote leadership, the ones who rise to the top. They get there most often is because they are cruel and don't have a moral compass, and it's their orders that get carried out. Um, you know, that's the unfortunate
Yeah.
fact is that people who come to the top
Yeah.
usually get there not because they're enlightened are they're wonderful people. It's because they backstabbed and clawed their way to the very top, and they
Yeah.
killed or fought off or did whatever it took to
Yeah.
get to that top, and they're not going to stop being the way they are, change their ways.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so yeah, I mean, yeah, what you said right there is kind of where I'm at. That's where I was mentioning this conflict is that I'm recognizing, like, for the sake of humanity, it would be nice to have some sort of moral code, but at the same time, I'm just, and then I say that, and as soon as I say it, there's this other part of me that's saying, well, whoa, wait, like there's something else, because that's not, I mean, that's an authoritarianistic perspective that can be taken also too far. I think we
You mean
have
the
so
commandment?
it
Thou shalt
scares
not
me to
kill.
just embrace. Let's embrace objective morality and cast it upon everybody and force everybody to abide by these rules. That also, I'm like, I'm timid to go in that direction, but at this very moment, I am more on that side than I've ever been in my life. I guess that's the point. And my guess was too, and that was the small clip that I posted, is that we're kind of looking at, when we're trying to work it out, we're trying to work our ways through it, because I've never been on that. So I've never been on this quote unquote conservative, almost like, I'm not Christian, but I'm like, I'm kind of, when I'm listening to my podcast and everything, I also used to resonate more with, atheistic, liberal, just, I mean, there is, I mean, I am still, I mean, that's the thing. I guess I am more libertarian than conservative, but libertarians tend to be more conservative, except they are definitely like, they kind that, I mean, I'm my own branch. I mean, I don't identify with any of these politics, but it's just the people that I'm just saying the people that tend to resonate with me have been more conservative and libertarian, when in the past it was always green, and yeah, just like wacky
So
hippie.
so when you
And
think of
Buddhist, I
someone,
mean, I'm still very Buddhist. I'm just seeing Buddhist sometimes as too passive and maybe too willing or too accepting. Maybe, it's too tolerant. Maybe Buddhism is too tolerant against intolerance. That's kind of like I think that was
so
a
so when you
paradox of
talk about someone being conservative, what what are their beliefs that you believe a conservative holds?
yeah. Well, for it would be like Christian. That's obviously not necessary, because there's conservatives in different countries that are different religions. But for like an American conservative, they would be real big on God, and they're gonna say God bless you and God this at throughout their speaking, and make sure they're reference to God, and God
Really?
writes
So
under God and stuff
what?
like I hear a lot of that, and to me that has always been repulsive to me most of my life, and
But there are a lot of liberals who are also very religious.
uh yeah, I mean, yeah, there are, but generally the conservatives are, I would associate religion with conservatives more.
Okay, all right.
And
What
and
else? What else
and
besides being fundamentalist?
yeah, yeah, and that, of course, that's not necessarily true. But that's one. I mean, that's the reason that stands out, is because that's one of the things that actually had always turned me off, and it still doesn't. I wouldn't say it resonates with me. It just kind of doesn't bother me. I'm able to just kind of look past that. Okay, that's their way of describing something that I also recognize. I just don't look at it. I I always, it's just, to me, it's a separate, the idea of a separate creator, that it's not something that I just, to me, just the way I conceptualize the universe is I look in, I don't look out for answers. I don't pray to this thing up there. I sit, meditate, and look at it there.
Well,
But
but
it's the same thing, really.
let me play devil's advocate. So
Okay.
what's wrong with someone who is very religious? I mean, you would hope and you would expect that what they say is based in Jesus, which is love. They're not saying things. Now they may be a little bit
Yeah.
intolerant when
Yeah.
it comes to sexuality, maybe, but by and large,
Yeah.
they what's wrong with being religious?
No, that's good. Those things that you're saying, those the message, the things Jesus says, uh and all these Christian values. That's why I say those are what are resonating with me right now. So those things are good, but and I'm able to get past the part that I don't like. The part that I don't like is that this is and I look at Christianity as, you know, a branch of Judaism, which, you know, Islam is as well. And fundamentally, I do believe that, and you see it in Islam more so. I would say they're more fundamentalistic on, I mean, they're more like hardliners when it comes to, you know, and that's part of what I can respect about them. They have a stronger connection to their holy word on some levels, but I believe Christianity has it too. I what I do like more about Christianity is there is this love and tolerance. Of course, that can go too far, as well as with Buddhism, but fundamentally, and I think it would probably be deeply rooted in Judaism, is that there is this belief that they're right, and if you don't believe in, it's like everything except for that fact, that's like the number one. They base everything on there's only one God and he's separate from you, and that's what you have to believe in. And then, so I guess the problem I have always had, which, like I'm saying, is it's less important to me right now. I think it's kind of metaphysical almost, but the problem that I've had is that that's the most important thing. Your entryway into heaven, which again, I'm more in line with, you know, a spiritual reincarnation, or like maybe a Seventh-day Adventist, sort of becoming the breath of God, where you're not like an individual soul that is going to move on to this place and live in eternity. But regardless of whatever you say, whatever component of our essence continues, is based on, like, the number one thing is that you've accepted Jesus as your savior, and that's more important than your actions here on earth. You know what I mean? I mean, if you were Jesus like, more, you know, to be more Jesus like should be the most important thing. I know everyone says, okay, you can't be Jesus. Jesus is perfect, all this, which, I mean, obviously we've all, you know, done things that are like, oh shit, if people knew that, maybe that would be you know, that'd be, for the most part, my life, I live it more. I mean, I look at it more Buddhist like, you know, trying to be, you know, I mean, do no harm. That's basic, you know, principles. Those, and again, so those all resonate. All the philosophies, underlying philosophies, Christian values that I agree with, but to a Christian, they would believe that I'm going to hell because I'm not accepting Jesus as the one savior. He is truth. That's the number one important thing, that you have to do that first, and then listen to everything he has to say. So that's, like I said, that's always been my problem, but it's not as big of an issue now. I'm kind of looking past that, and okay, let's just, you believe in what you want to believe in. Let's put the values on the table. And I would say, okay, I agree with these values. I just don't accredit Jesus to them. I think those values are innate in humanity, and they pop out in Buddhism, and they've popped out probably tens of thousands, maybe who knows how long our civilizations have been going, or, you know, coming from other planets or whatever sort of things. I don't believe accrediting that moment in history when whatever mystical things, amazing things happen in Israel and Jesus and all these times. That's very specific to a very specific region. To say that is like everything relies on that is fundamentally difficult for me to like accept. But yeah, like
So
I said,
what is it about Buddhism that you like, or what is your outlook in
yeah,
regards to,
yeah,
Buddhism, or your personal religious views?
yeah. That's. I mean, you know, I remember reading the book Siddhartha, you know, when I was like 12 or something. Actually, it was funny, the same guy that had on the podcast, we were actually on a debate team together that we read the same book. We didn't, but anyway, I mean, it's always resonated with me. But the one thing is that he says, don't listen to what I say, question everything I say. That, to me, that's truth. Truth comes from somebody who says, don't believe what I say because I say it, question everything I say. And I have questioned everything that I read about Buddhism. And generally, I mean, I've got my own method. I don't even consider myself Buddhist. Sometimes I do. If like on a Thai document, sometimes they ask for religions. I'll generally put that, but I'll actually put the philosophy of Buddhism. I word it different. or even the psychology. I look at Buddhism more of a psychology. But that to me, that a true somebody who is a spiritual leader should say, question everything I say. To me, that's like, I'm
Okay, that's
somebody that
good.
just
That's
stands,
good.
this is what I say, and I am truth, period. And then that's difficult for me to
So what did the Buddha say that resonates with you, or his teaching or philosophy that resonates with you, or that you embody?
that's one is just question everything, that I say. So I think, I mean, just introspection, like, on, again, I look at it more of a psychology throughout my whole degree in psychology, and I was just kind of reading alongside um with it, and to me, when I look at it, like, some of his things aren't mind blowing to me. They're just like, given his, I always see him, I see him as a psychologist. So it's like, Freud or something. It's like, you find out. I learned a lot about Buddha. His philosophies and psychology is about him. I mean, he had a very unique life, and it's kind of, you can't follow his path exactly and achieve what he achieved. He had to go through these things. Like, some people think it's like Buddhist teachings are like the middle path, but that was like, when he came to the middle path, that was like just to get to scratch zero where normal people are. He had this, at least as the story goes, he was lavished with all these luxuries and everything, and didn't experience pain, of course, which is unrealistic. Of course, he hurt himself when he was young and stuff, but still, he didn't see like pain and suffering to the extent that it exists. So, I mean, his world was turned upside down when, he experienced, going out into and seeing, the hungry and the sick and the poor and everything. So for him, he had this, it took him a long time just to get to the fact that, wow, so he went the other extreme, the aesthetic things. And I don't think that's necessary for people. I don't think people really need to do the first step of what Buddha did to realize, like, that, I mean, we come into, most people have ups and downs and highs and lows. So he had a different perspective coming into it. And then he got
Well,
over it.
let me
And
tell you
yeah,
what I get out of Buddhism, Buddhist philosophy, Buddhist teaching, and then maybe you could tell me in the same way
sure.
how it affects you, or how it shapes you, or what your philosophy is. So for me, the reason why I like Buddhism so much is, first of all, there are no dogmas. You don't have to believe in anything. There's no like Jesus, son of God, or whatever, or this is the word from God, or whatever. It's just none of that. So there are no dogmas in Buddhism. Um, Number two, um, really, there's no creation myth. There is no, the world created this, that, whatever. It's, for me, it's, the philosophy is very simple: end suffering. That's it. And if you just, and then he has the path to ending suffering, because as far as my understanding of Buddhism is once you learn how not to suffer, then you can live a fulfilling life, and that's what life is meant to be anyways, to be enjoyed, to be lived fully, to be cherished, because he saw so much suffering. um, and so for me, it's like, okay, all right, that's good. So how do I end suffering? And the answer was very simple: is you go through meditation, which calms the mind down, and then you go into, out of the negative states of fear and anger and hatred and jealousy and greed and lust and all those things that create suffering, and move into love and compassion and caring and loving and tolerance and patience, and just build on that, practice on that. And naturally, you will find that you become more calm and peaceful. Uh, and as a result of the positive states of mind, you don't suffer. So that to me is what I love about Buddhist teaching and philosophy, and that's why it resonates with me.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, no, the on ending suffering is yeah, if I were to sum up Buddhism in like a little sound bite or something, it'd be something in the lines of let it go. Or, I mean, as a like a little catchphrase, let it go, um, is, I mean, I guess the
Let
thing
what
I've spent
go?
the most time on is discounting self, but and understanding what that means. I still struggle with it sometimes. I mean, it's like I exist, I'm here, there is something that I identify as me. Is there, um, but not, it's like not attaching myself to anything when I actually in the end I strip everything away. There's nothing that
Very good.
nothing
Let it
there's
go.
nothing
No
that's
attachment.
yeah, no, so no
Yes.
attachment. I mean, to me, yeah, and that is, I mean, that ends suffering. So to me, yeah, let it go. Let it, whatever it is, let it go. In fact, that was funny. That one got just on somebody was talking about something on Twitter, and or X, and then yeah,
Well,
somebody's what?
CD. It's not so much about letting it go. Depends on what that is. If it's anger, yeah, you let it go. If it's greed, jealousy, hatred, you let that go. There's no doubt about that. Those are things you should let go as quickly as they come into your consciousness, or even hopefully before they even come. It's subconsciously you feel it and you let it go. Uh, but the other side of it is, if it's a positive thing, um, it's difficult to let it go, except you just have to realize that it's not going to bring you what you think it is, which is happiness and joy, because it's outside of you. So
Yeah.
wealth and fame and fortune and notoriety and building this thing and having all these things, it's okay to have that desire. It's just when you're really attached to it, that will create the suffering. So you let that go, the need to have it, but then you still, it's okay to have the juice of life, which is to want to do these things. Just
Mhm,
don't be so attached to it.
mhm. And yeah, no, that ties into the other reason why Buddhism resonates with me is the evolution, because evolution is something, to me, I think evolution is fundamental in understanding humanity, biology, consciousness, um, but it's more complex than the I don't believe in randomness. That's one basic part of evolution. I don't, it says, your genes are transmitted randomly, from your offsprings are in a random assortment of your parents. I believe there's a lot of factors out there that we don't understand, spiritual, psychological, life experience, our genes that we pass on. Actually, I mean, I believe when I make love to my wife and stuff, I mean, I believe when we created Gabaga, I mean, that's not luck or random. I mean, there was energy at that moment, and it was literally conceived right when we got our house. We bought the land. I mean, she had lost two uh babies in Phuket, got pregnant, and it's just because we were in apartments and not really had a place to live. I know there's a spiritual realm in there. But anyway, so my point is, I just always have to say that, because sometimes people think, oh, your evolution, like I have a very spiritual approach to evolution, but at the same time, if something doesn't make sense in evolution, then it's almost like it has to at least fit in. And to me, Buddhism fits with evolution. Like, so the way he mentions things about, our desires, like you were just kind of touching into those desires. Those desires are hardwired in us in order to procreate. I mean, a lot of these things, I mean, sexual desires, and even power and social status, and I mean, hunger and food. I mean, all of our pleasure, and these come up in a lot of religions. Again, a lot of Christian values I actually believe, are with um evolution too. It's really just the dogma of it, I guess, is that turns me off against it. But so evolution ties into those things where we do have to kind of become a master of our psychology, and when we can do some introspection and kind of understand why these things are in place, and the importance of them, right? If you're born into this world with no desire, we're not going to make it very far, procreation wise, right? No sexual desire, no desire to find food. I mean, obviously these are in there for a place. And
Yeah,
but
for sure. I mean,
yeah,
desire, from an evolutionary perspective, desire is survival. No
yeah,
desire, we cannot survive as a
and
species.
yeah, and then so to like, but to I guess to be able to be like, that's what's so amazing about, I don't know if humans are the only animal, and there's other animals that might be able to on some level, but our brains definitely are. I mean, in a magnificent um demonstration of this like self-awareness,
Yeah, but it's going to be
thinking.
surpassed by AI soon.
Well, yeah, no, we could get into AI. I don't know that I honestly don't know if it's, I mean, self-awareness is I'm not, no, I mean, we've had computers for a long time that are just like extremely smart. Again, no, I mean, I still look at it as just amazing computing. I just see awareness as a completely different thing. I don't see anything. I've never seen anything in AI as amazing as I believe AI could be a better psychologist than me. But it's not a. I haven't seen anything that makes me think that it's aware. It'll be AGI, right? I mean, it could emulate some, like a psychopath can, right? I mean, they can emulate emotions. I mean, I believe it could emulate emotions better than a human could. It could do everything better than a human could on the surface, but that it's actually going to be aware, that it's going to gain awareness again, because this is where I break from a lot of evolutionists, which evolutionists often think that consciousness came out of evolution. I believe consciousness is actually an underlying force, that so-called randomness is actually, there is some sort of conscious structure to the universe that underlies and pushes evolution forward. If that's the case, then we're not going to create consciousness no matter how advanced AI gets. That doesn't mean AI can't do everything, but I don't, and if that, I don't
Wait a minute, wait a minute.
see
This is what I
awareness. I don't see
understand you.
awareness,
You
self-awareness.
said that consciousness exists and humans, well, before we were whatever we weren't able to perceive or receive the consciousness until our brains had the capacity to receive the consciousness. Is that what you're saying?
Kind of, yeah, kind of like like we're a satellite of or something. I mean, it's hard to say exactly, but yeah, I think
I
I
like that. That makes sense. Yeah, because consciousness exists, and then we, before humans, before we were human, we just didn't have that capacity to receive it, to receive the consciousness. But once we got to a point where our brains were able to, I guess, create the antenna or whatever,
yeah, antenna, I guess not
uh,
satellite. Yeah, that would be more of a.
and then we were able to get it. So what makes you think that? So you're saying that we cannot create a machine that
Well,
can
yeah,
be able to receive that consciousness.
no. I don't know that we couldn't. I guess because again, yeah, you could take my. In fact, I think one of our conversations did kind of go this way in a sense. I don't, I don't see it as.
Yeah, I don't see it either, but it's possible, right? Anything is possible.
Yeah. Yeah. Almost everything that you say is impossible. It makes it instantly possible. Um, and so I do think there's something different. I mean, am, I mean, I think AI could absolutely take over the world, but I mean, I think it could absolutely take over everything without actually being aware of what it's doing, that it's still just operating on very complex systems that were programmed and self-learning. It could do, I believe in self-learning, where it could figure out what it was asked to do and then figure out ways to do it better, and then maybe even create things. I mean, but I mean, I don't know if self-awareness would come that way. I guess that's not where I see the self-awareness coming from. For self-awareness to come, we'd have to create something that taps into that. Um, I mean, I mean, yeah, that's there's no actual logical impossibility with that. To me, that's not where it's going. we're not, it's going more
It's
in.
possible that it could be like this. You know, it depends on which way we take this AI. It's possible whether we want to or not, or somebody will do this. They will have a brain implant
I think they
where,
already started, right? Elon Musk already has some guy doing it or something, but yeah.
yeah, where you're able to basically tap into these AI machines
Mhm.
and expand your mind. So then you could argue then AI has a consciousness, or you know, well, I mean, humans have consciousness, I guess,
Yeah.
but we would also have this amazing billion times more abilities because
Mhm.
we have access to AI. We're, you know, directly
I,
linked into it.
yeah,
I don't
I
know.
almost think it would be AI would be tapping into our consciousness more than us tapping into AI. I mean, in a system like that. But at the same time, yeah, going back to like a Buddhist, in some ways, yeah, I don't know what is the individual consciousness. Like when I say consciousness, there are two. There's the capacity for consciousness and consciousness. And what I mean by that is like, I mean, like we're these individuals, or I guess, we can talk about like a collective unconscious or collective conscious, that there is a greater, actually, we are able to tap into something, and maybe AI would help us tap into, I could even say the consciousness. There might be one that could be the underlying nature of reality, and AI might actually be a bridge that can help us tap into that, and we'd be working off each other to do it. I like to think of like the earth as, I just visualize like plants, like, I believe everything does have a degree of consciousness. I'd even go as far as saying, rocks, but not or as an individual conscious, but it's part of a greater consciousness. So when you look at the trees, like one tree doesn't have very much consciousness, but I think one tree is at least as much as a single synapse in our brain. And if you look at the entirety of the earth and all of the root systems in the earth and the way that they interconnect, that there is something, and that actually is, like, look at earth and all of the, basically all of the entire animal kingdom, we kind of broke off and became more individualistic, and it comes at a cost. You get to experience this individual consciousness, but it's more difficult for us to tap in. So I think animals with lower levels of individual consciousness are able to tap into that greater consciousness more easily because they have less, their own individual self-awareness is less developed than ours, but they're closer to that plant-like mushroom eukaryote, all those other kingdoms that are not really conscious as individuals, but they work. You look at bacteria, the way they move, it's like, not, if you look at it as a whole, like, oh, they have some sort of consciousness that expands their cell borders. So why don't we probably
What, what,
would too, right?
well, let me ask you, what is it that makes us conscious? I mean, why do you think you're conscious?
I guess self-awareness is I'm using, at least in this sense, but I do admit that I'll use the word differently. And right now, as we're talking, I'd say it's synonymous with self-awareness.
But then you could also argue that there are other animals who are
Yes,
self-aware.
yes, there are. Yeah, yeah. Oh no, I believe animals are, again, but I believe everything has some degree of consciousness, including trees, and I'd even go as far as saying rocks, in the fact that they react. But let's stick with plants and stuff even have some consciousness. And all animals have a degree of, they have more self-awareness than plants, and we just happen to be on the extreme end where we are the most but the more you are, the more self-aware you are, the less connected you are with, as a whole. So I do actually think so I say like consciousness as a like underlying uh thing that like there's one consciousness, and then we have individual self-awareness. And sometimes when I say consciousness, I'm talking about self-awareness, but actually by being more self-aware, you're less connected to a greater
So
consciousness.
is a 1 day or 5 day old baby, no, are they self-conscious?
Less a lot. I mean, I think it takes, it's like they say around 2 years from study, and I mean, those are based on like eye movement tests and stuff. I don't think we can identify it, but I would say no. I would say self-consciousness is something that there's a gestation period. Is that the right word? I don't know, but no, I mean, definitely less come into this world, a lot less self-conscious. But I mean, yeah, no, I mean,
So then, what makes a baby self-conscious? Why?
I mean, at first, I think the baby, I think Gabaga thought he was ice for, I mean, he literally came out of her, was in there. He was inseparable. She was him. And that it's a beautiful bond to see a mother and child. Like, I'm, even now, I mean, he still doesn't, he always says he loves me medium. I say, I love you. He says, no, you don't love me medium. I love mama. I said, but anyway, I mean, but no, so he's definitely, I mean, partly in fact, I'd say as a baby, other animals were probably more self-aware because some animals have to be self-aware. They're born and they're ready, in fact, the lower levels, like a snake and stuff, where the animals, they leave the eggs and they leave, and the baby comes out of the egg, it doesn't really gain any self-awareness. It's as self-aware as it will be when it's an adult, but it comes out at that moment. A baby snake is more self-aware than my son. So, I mean, my son was, as a human, we're way behind. I mean, it takes us longer to get self-awareness. I
But
generally,
that's
yeah,
almost
about 2
instant.
years
You're saying self-awareness is instinct.
in a snake because it comes out of the egg and the mom's not there. It has to survive. So its level of self-awareness is very low. It's as a baby, it has as much self-aware as it does when it's an adult, which is actually very low in comparison to a human. But a brand new born human and a brand new brand new born snake and a brand new born human, I would say the snake is actually more self-aware than a baby human.
So if a computer is, let's just go with this
Self-aware, okay.
preservation, survival, and the computer knows
Well, that's different.
that in order for it to not be shut down, it needs like let's just say at this point, it needs electricity, basically just electricity, because and it can't allow anyone to shut it down.
Yeah.
Would that be considered consciousness?
No, I don't think so. I don't think that's self-aware. I mean, I think could be, it's programmed, and I mean,
Well, there's a snake is programmed, but you're saying it's self-aware. Same thing.
well, I don't know if, I mean, we make connections between programs. It is easy for us to understand the mind and the brain in terms of like computer software and hardware. We do use these terms. I'm not saying it's impossible, but I don't see it. To me, I don't see that computers have the same that when we say programming there, again, this could go, I mean, this could be the argument someone might say that a creationist that believes there is it. And I'm not against the possibility that we're in a simulation and there was actually a creator. But if that were the case, there still would be a greater underlying existence that we both are dependent on. So if that were the case, then I do think computers could become self-aware. If we are, I guess it's not what I see. The reason why, to answer the question in short, and I know it's not a foolproof statement, but I feel that because we're the ones, and it probably comes from being kind of a-religious and my belief that everything comes from inside, that the fact that we're creating the computers is, I don't think that consciousness was something that was created by a program, like we didn't create it as a material. I guess, yeah, I think there's something immaterial that drives biology, all biology. That's,
Well, let me say this. Let me ask you this. Let's say that we create AI, and then the AI can tell us how to create an organic human brain. Somehow it knows how to grow a human brain. And then we grow that and can we give it consciousness then?
well, I mean, give it consciousness. I mean, it would, I don't,
Will it receive consciousness once it
Yeah, no, I mean,
they're
those are the
growing meat.
terminology we have to look. I do kind
Okay,
of like that. That term resonates more with me. Receive consciousness, could
like the
receive
meat.
consciousness. I
Yeah,
mean,
like the meat.
I
The
mean,
chicken meat that they're growing, the chicken breast in the laboratory. Eventually we may be able to grow a human brain in a laboratory, an organic.
well, that's like Hillary Putnam's brain in vats, right? We're just all brain in vats. Maybe we actually are just brains in vats right now. Just a mad scientist has a whole bunch of, we are just brains that were grown in vats. When we get into those scenarios, then the line blurs between, we say organic. Um, to build, I, it still
As
seems like,
opposed to
okay,
cellular.
how would we, how would we build I guess, or can we build an organic brain from scratch, or are we taking something from humans? I guess.
Something from humans, the cells. Just like how we grow chicken breast in a laboratory or
But
other meat.
then would it, I don't know if I'd consider that AI though. If it
Well, and
if we could create, so okay, so you're asking if we could create something that could receive consciousness. I created something that can receive consciousness.
yeah,
You
yeah,
can learn
yeah.
how to do
Well,
it too. Just
well, but it would. I don't know. We're just talking very much, sci-fi. We probably don't need to create a brain because, when we have computers, why create, a brain for what? For what other than just for curiosity?
yeah.
It doesn't make sense. Um, but anyway, I was just listening to Ray Kurzweil talk about AI, and he's big into longevity. He wants to live. He's talking about this. I forgot what the term he uses. Velocity, escape velocity, where longevity, escape velocity, where the technology will get to the point for every year that you live, you can live another year. So that basically, eventually for every year that you live, you can live 2 years. Eventually you'd be immortal in a way because technology is moving in that so rapidly, exponentially. And he's saying that by I think it's 2029, just 5 years away, we could get to that point where we have the technology that it can cure cancers and aging, all the stuff that ages us and kills us. And he was talking about uh, using AI to do simulations that instead of doing it on people or animals, which takes time and all kinds of other, I guess, requirements, you could do it in a matter of days and simulate millions of people using AI. And therefore, we think that we're so far away from curing cancer or dementia or any other diseases. However, he believes that it's because of exponential growth that we're going to get there much, much sooner. And, this guy wants to live forever. I think he's like 70, I don't think
full time's
75 or
taken for
something.
him. I see why he's so gung ho
Yeah,
on
yeah,
it.
yeah, 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 yeah. And he's taking all these vitamins and minerals and pills and everything like that
Yeah.
because he knows that if he could just last another whatever 5, 6, 7, 10 years, the technology will get to the point where it'll cure him of anything that he could have that could kill him. Anyway, I thought that was very, very
It's
interesting.
interesting, and I think it's possible. It's just, it's not interest. I'm not interested in that. I actually kind of looking forward. Like I've been creating this land for my to die. I kind of enjoy living my life, and I don't know if, I don't, or I don't, of course I don't know, but I don't actually even have a strong belief on uh how or what continues, but I'm spiritual enough that I have faith. I have faith. That, yeah. People say, do you have faith? Yeah, I do. I actually have faith. And my faith is just that if I live the life that I'm, and preparing for the death that I want to have, which is in line in a lot of ways, let it go. and that's actually one thing that even all those love and stuff, eventually all worldly attachments I want to let go. And I mentioned how even dementia can be a spiritual way of just letting go of the things that you are going to miss, because it's not, I don't want to miss any, I don't want when I'm ready to die, I don't want to miss anything. I don't want to miss my wife or my my children, or my land, all the things that I cherish the most. I wouldn't want to have the feeling that I'm going to miss this. I would want to detach from everything. And I have faith that if I leave like that, I do tend to believe in reincarnation in some way, but I don't think it's going into another life. I mean, it might be another realm, another sense, or it might just be dispersed in a way that energy somehow sparks something else that isn't me, and I don't know. I mean, it gets beyond me. I just have faith that if I live a life that's true to myself, again, that I
Well, you're
do
only
believe.
42. I'm curious to find out when you're like, I don't know, 68 or something, if you still think the same way. I mean, let's say you're 68,
Yeah,
you're healthy, you're strong, you got grandkids and great grandkids coming on the way, and the world has changed in many amazing ways, and you've got, you're doing things and involved in things, you got hobbies and whatnot. If you would say, I'm just preparing to die, I wonder if you would think the same way you're
yeah.
thinking now.
Well, I'm open to changing it, as long as I have. I mean, right now, that actually just my projection is a and like I said, I always say, you part of, I mean, I could die from anything. Even if I don't die the way I want to die, I'll have lived a life that, I mean, for actually, the funny thing is, it's not actually about, I talk about preparing for how I want to die. And sometimes people think I'm overly obsessed with my own death, but it's actually, what it is a way to find meaning in my life, my present day life. So it's like, it gives me a direction. So it's really the direction of moving in a way where I'm dying, or I would die, that I'm preparing for that death. So it's weird. It's like I'm preparing for my death, but it's not like I want to die. I just want to live a life that is true to the way I want to die. And that, it just seems, to me, that just seems just overtly reasonable way to live your life. And really, that's what it's all about. Everything's in the present. So really, how should we live our lives is kind of the question I was asking myself. Is, I want peace. And to me, I find peace with living in accordance with the way I want to die. And absolutely, I mean, if somebody repeats this video and shows it to me, look, you're 60 and turns out you actually want to live forever. If I change my views, I mean, living forever is a scary thing, but I mean, I mean, it doesn't matter. Like I say, if we live to 200 or 500, I mean, you can say it's all relative. I mean, it doesn't really matter how long I live. If I'm, I'm going to be healthy, and I'll go through different stages. I mean, of so yeah, who knows? I'd be willing to say it's possible that I have different view, but the one thing that would stay the same is that I'm living in accordance with how I'd want to die, and then if that changes, that would have to alter. So yeah, no, it would be interesting, but I don't know if you're going to still be around when I'm 68. What are you going to do that then? Well, if you tap in and get this guy's um yeah, well, that's right.
Well, it's interesting you said that it would be scary to live forever, and I'm thinking the other way around. That would be actually, it would kind of lose some of life, would lose some of its luster if you know you're never going to die. Um, but I don't. I guess there's just still so much more that I would like to experience and do. I just feel like I haven't really. lived all the life I want to live. And I don't know how long that would be, but I guess eventually you might one, although I can't ever see myself getting tired of life. Um, Unless your body gives out, if you're tired, you're aching. That's one reason why people, eventually let go is they wake up with aches and pains, and that then puts you in a bad mood, and you can't enjoy anything, and you're thinking, okay, I think I've lived enough. But if you're healthy and strong, and you feel good, and you wake up feeling good, and you enjoy activities, I don't see why you want to not live indefinitely.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't. I see there's some spiritual. I'm something to achieve that would be just like, I mean, I visualize myself just meditating more as I age. I mean, I have progressively just more. I mean, I'm still very active now, creating my land and stuff. I guess some of it is, I'll physically not be as strong, as time goes on. So I guess if I prolong that, I could continue doing what I do. But I visualize right now I'm just doing, hard labor. I'll always be doing labor, climbing trees and cutting branches and pulling weeds and stuff. And, I don't visualize myself ever being a feeble old man. But I'm sure I'll move slower and do less rigorous
Well,
work.
what if technology gets to the point where it could stop your aging
Well, I mean,
process?
I don't know if I mean, yeah, I kind of look forward to those progress. I actually, I mean, I would like to, I see, I mean, right now I visualize just going hard, doing all these things. Sometimes I think about, I'd like to meditate more than I do and do more yoga and stretch and stuff, but I'm not right now. I mean, I have the choice sometimes to sit there, I do my routine in the morning and I have the choice to work on the farm or meditate. And part of me wants to just sit there and meditate for a couple hours. And then I'm like, no, I actually I want to build this walkway is more important to me right now. So I'm doing it. I think again, you're right. I mean, if we change our biological makeup, then I would just be prolonging the way I feel right now. And right now I'm more, I care more about, creating and, building and, building my land. But in my mind, I have it kind of set out in years, and I want to have it kind of ready where it's now all I have to do is maintain it. So I'm actually trying to create a land that when I'm sitting there and I have the thought of, do I open my eyes and start working on the land or just sit here and meditate, that I'll be like, my land is good. I've done everything that I want to do, and I'll meditate longer. I'll still get up and then do my walk around the land and, pull some weeds and prune some trees. So I'm trying to create a land. Again, it is true though that I am basing it on my projection of what I assume my body will go through, which is going to get weaker. But I don't look at it as like, I don't look at myself as going to be like decrepit, and I just think I to me it looks like it's a natural progression to get older. And I see all the old men here that still come and, do a lot of farming and stuff, and I see myself still being able to do stuff. But I mean,
Yeah,
to
but
me,
you don't know the aches and pains they have.
no, I don't. I mean, I probably do more stretches than they do. I've always been big on my stretches. They do. No, I do actually. I laugh because we got one guy. I mean, he's 70 something. He does a lot of the work on my land when
Wow.
he built the house. I mean, the family, like construction. When I'm not good at that, the landscaping stuff I do, but laying bricks and moving stuff. He'll work. He just lets out this big sometimes. But I do it too now, and it feels so good. And I say, oh, I totally can feel, I feel how he feels. Um, you know, but they're actually they're doing work though for money. I mean, they're still, they're, poorer farmers that make, so they're doing a little more
They
work
can't
because they
retire.
have to. and I'm creating the land, or I'm not going to be, like I said, I'm not going to be doing the hard and heavy lifting so much when I'm older. It's just going to be more maintaining the pruning the trees and pulling weeds and stuff. So I mean, again, yeah, I just have this vision of this projection of the natural aging process, and I look forward to just being able to just sit there all day and not have to do anything. And my son will be going out, might have my grandchildren, and I kind of even look forward to. I mean, sometimes I have these weird fantasies about, like, especially with my mom and stuff, and her like dementia. It's, I mean, just I tried to visualize. Okay, what if I'm like her? I wonder if I could fake it. Like, if I get into a routine where I just go to my little, sala, which, the little gazebo, like or pavilion. That's where I do my meditation stuff. I just sit there and meditate. And what if I actually, when I'm meditating, I actually have no idea, like I have no idea where I am or who's there. But if you're just like calm enough and like open my eyes and people ask me a question, I just am able to just respond in the moment. And as long as they don't ask me about anything in the past, and if they do ask me something in the past, I'll just give them this cryptic answer. And I'll actually, I think I might be able to fool them into thinking, not even knowing that I actually have no memory of what happened 5 minutes ago or something. So I don't know. I mean, this isn't what I want or necessarily, but I look at the aging process I look at the whole human journey as an experience that I want to go through, I guess, is what I look at it. And you could prolong it to 500 years or 1,000 years, but at some point I want to reach that old. I love looking at old people and talking to old people. Again, some of them, again, if I can prepare, I would hate to be homeless without any, there's terrible situations that an old person could be in, and I might find myself that way. Who knows what sort of civil unrest could.
You could go through these simulations where you can experience what it's like to be old.
I mean, and who knows? Maybe that would satisfy me. I don't see it satisfy me, but again, I mean, I'm open to possibilities. I mean, the way AI is coming. I mean, we saw this Sora and stuff is like, I look at it and I just think like, wow, that, like, the video, right? You've seen that one, the video and stuff. I mean, to think about that, and I just look beyond that and realize, like, okay, well, it's able to, and I already was playing with the pictures, and that was just last year, like November or December, where the pictures came out. Again, they haven't let us. Now you may on one of our audios, I'm gonna actually kind of build off that. One of the audios I haven't responded to you, but I'm always thinking about it and stuff, and I listen to them, of course, and they're deep. I'm always moved by your wisdom and insight. So but one of the things, yeah, you were talking about is that they already have it, and that's what I was thinking. I was thinking, you know what, man? I mean, the very first thing I saw was like this. They said a cartoon kangaroo dancing to disco or something, or disco dancing, and then it just shows this little kangaroo just jump out on the dance floor and start dancing. I'm just thinking, like, it's cool, but it's like, we've already seen that Pixar Studios, and I'm thinking, how long have they had this technology? Like, how long have they been hoodwinking us? And they weren't actually computer. I mean, if it's already out, I mean, to some degree, some of those people, obviously, I mean, you look at like Snow White and stuff, those are hand drawn stuff, but like there have been people working on these systems. I mean, they didn't just come out of nowhere. They used things that already existed. And I imagine they had computer programmers or graphic designers, I guess, from that. I'm sure they recruited some of them and worked on them. And some of those people probably took some of the stuff. So the amount of data that they had, but yeah, my point is whatever technology we know exists I mean, I don't know that 10, 20 years, 1,000 years, I don't know. I mean, it could have already, our whole civilization could have already been planned, and we're just getting doses from aliens at their rate. I mean, it could seriously be that extreme. Could just be a couple years. In some ways, I feel like it's less than it used to be. I think they used to be able to hide technology for like decades, and I actually think I feel like it might be shorter though. I feel like whoever's got control of technology is going to utilize it as much as they can without sharing it, but it's gonna leak out. And then when it does leak out, they kind of maybe then they announce that they have it when they realize like, oh, it's already gonna leak out. And I
Well, when
feel
it
like
leaks out, there'll be technologies that are much more advanced than the ones that just got leaked out.
yeah, exactly. But the only thing is, I think that it is moving faster, where there are like I said, I would say it's probably used to be decades that they were able to like keep it. I think it's harder to contain it though. But at the same time, what you did say is, yeah, it is a race, and whoever gets like AI, whoever can kind of control something to like self-replicate or self-learn to the extent that it's like set in motion, then it's over. But then is it, do they have control of it, or are they going to be, is the race going to be so they're racing that they're overlooking, whatever fail-safe mechanisms stop, I mean, yeah, we're entering I mean, in
Well,
some
they
ways, though,
may
I do
have
feel that
it.
we're closer. We're actually more in line. Like we actually have more access to stuff. They're definitely still ahead. Whatever we have access to is going to be already technology that existed. But like I said, I think it's a shorter time period. I think it's coming out faster because it's getting produced faster. At the same time, even 6 months is actually a huge difference. So even if we get it and now it's only 6 months old, 6 months is a big deal. So yeah, I mean it's crazy to look at it.
It is crazy, but it's an arms race in the sense that if the Chinese get it, or the Russians, or any other group gets it first, they're going to be the overlords
But I mean,
because they could.
does it matter? I mean, who's the overlord? I mean, what do you want? The American government
Well,
to
at this
get it? I
point, I'd
mean,
rather have American government be overlords than the Chinese, because at least there's some semblance of a democracy in America still. Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
it is, it is. I mean, it's, yeah.
I don't know
I
if I mean if
I'd much rather have America get
well,
it
I mean,
first.
but I mean, are they going to control it? Uh, I mean, it seems like once it's unleashed, it doesn't even.
Well, no, they won't unleash it. They'll just keep it confined to probably defense and then offense.
Okay.
And
Just a straight up as a war. Yeah, no, I
yeah,
mean,
oh,
uh,
absolutely.
yeah, yeah,
That's their first thing. That's their first thinking. It's like, okay, like the atomic bomb. Okay, we got this. The first thing they'll do is defense, which means they'll prevent any missiles from reaching America's shores.
yeah,
And then the second one is, look, we got this. If you guys take a wrong step, we could shut down all your satellites. We could
yeah,
all your
yeah.
communications. We
I
could
mean,
disrupt everything, and
I
then
mean,
you're toast.
so let me ask you: do you think we've already got it, or somebody's already got it? I mean, in some ways,
I think.
I almost feel like America does have something. I feel like America's got something right now that they've got a lot of balls, and it doesn't seem like we're that strong in a lot of ways. I mean, our military is strong, but it's like why don't I mean I don't think I mean I don't see anybody really well shit. I mean,
Well, as
getting
long as it's
invaded, but
not a threat, as long as it's not an
yeah,
existential threat.
that's what I mean. I mean, like I feel like no, I mean these technologies might already exist, and everybody might. I mean, if it's an arm race on that sense, okay. So you're saying there could be. I mean, everybody's working on AI, so everybody's doing it, and everybody would be working on ways to take out, all satellites, infrastructure, electric grid, and
Unfortunately,
food.
technology's always been used in that regard at first when it first comes out.
So it
It's
would
always
just be.
been it's always been used as a defensive and then offensive weapon.
I mean, I'm sure everybody's got something, and we only know, and we've all got spies, so we all know how far along they were, but not in real time, probably. I mean, I don't think we have anybody has a spy so close that they're able to just like instantly know exactly where. So I think every major power that's working on AI has some idea of where the other ones were 6 months ago or something, maybe, and then they're constantly building systems to counteract those systems, but we're relying on all these simulations and models and metrics. I mean, but those are, only, to that's those aren't fail safe. As I mean, I think that's the problem with a lot of science today, and a lot of military strategists that we see. I mean, we see, I mean, all of them. I mean, you know, I mean, the Ukrainians not being able to do what they thought they could do according to their metrics and models and sanctions and things. I think that fell apart. And even in Israel, I mean, you see, destruction in Palestine, and there's a lot of people I mean, that's terrible. I don't think anybody cares about the Palestinian people, but at the same time, Israelis aren't. I mean, we can vilify the Israelis for not caring enough about the Palestinians, which is a legitimate concern. But at the same time, I don't think what I don't really see, like Hamas is actually fucking them up right now. Like, I mean, the same way, like they're not winning, they're losing. Like militarily is the point that's not being talked about enough. I don't think. I mean, from my perspective, they haven't made any, like, and on that respect, it's like they're actually probably not trying to kill too many Palestinians, but they're like, we have to destroy Hamas, and they can't even with like the casualty of war, which is terrible, because I mean the stuff we see unfortunately is like, fuck that, there has to be a better way. They're still not able to so the point is, whatever metrics and models the Israelis, which are supposed to be this, grand, they're supposed to have excellent intelligence, they're losing. That's, I guess, they're losing militarily. I guess that's my point. So and we're all focused on these human rights, which are terrible and completely legitimate concern to look at, but militarily I think they're getting their asses whooped.
Well, maybe, but be honest with you,
and just like the Ukrainians, which were, and I guess I'm attributing that to metrics and models and that were simulations. Think tanks and simulations. I think those are not as effective as they might have been in the past. I think maybe adversaries have, or so again. So with just tying this into the AI, I don't think we would be able to know if our AI, no matter how sophisticated we thought it was, if when it came down to it, would it be able to yeah, I mean, how would one know unless we just engage in a war? So that would I mean, do you think somebody would be able to have like something? I mean, we'd have to unleash it, right? That was the only way, the atomic bomb, tying it back to like a nuclear weapon.
Again, I think it has to get to an existential threat
before
it's unleashed. As long as it's like, in Ukraine or in somewhere different, far from America, there's no threat. Yeah, there's just no threat. Now, the reason why the atomic bomb was used, as you know, is because they figured there's going to be like, I don't know, 100,000 Americans death if they had to invade Japan.
Yeah.
And so they said, well, we're going to throw atomic bomb because we don't want to have so many casualties.
Yeah.
But anyway, we should continue this talk next time. What do you say?
Yeah. Well, I mean, continue this, and who knows what
wherever else we go,
events will occur that will lead to little threads. But yeah, no, those are some big topics. I am going to be having some guests coming up, and when things come up, they get my brains turning. I do like to kind of keep a thread, so I appreciate you kind of going on that religious thread. Just, something I mean, I'm struggling with now. I don't have the answers. I'm just, it's kind of fun to see an evolution, and that's why when you ask, or when you mention things like, if you ask me when I'm 68, I'm not one to say like, oh no, I'm gonna still think the same way I do, because I've seen nothing but, and again, that's very Buddhist, right? I mean, nothing stays the same, and everything's gonna be transition. So I look forward to seeing how I change my views over time, and we'll catch back up.
Yeah, I'm trying to think how I've changed my views. The only view I've changed, the biggest view I've changed, and it could be just because of age, is that I wanted to be somebody.
Yeah,
I had this desire or need to,
you are though. You're
huh?
more than somebody. You're more than somebody.
Well, I know, but I wanted to be like super successful in some endeavor to have. Anyway, it was an ego thing, obviously,
Mhm.
and it was mostly because I just felt I needed to prove myself,
Mm.
my existence. Who knows? I'm not going to go into the psychology of that, but
Maybe
now
we should.
now I believe that the only thing that matters in achieving is that sense, that state of well-being, a sense of contentment, fulfillment, joy, peace, serenity. I think ultimately that's all we want. So
Yeah,
even if I had achieved all these amazing things,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
if I weren't, feeling, joyful and, look forward to the day and, didn't yell at somebody or didn't fear that I might get deposed or whatever, what
Mhm.
good is that? It's no good. So ultimately,
Yeah,
I just rather be in a blissful state. And that I think is worth achieving. And I
yeah,
think that's something that we can all achieve.
yeah. Trust in Jim Carrey, right? He said something in those lines. I wish everybody could achieve fame and fortune, so you could
So
realize
they'll
that's
know.
not the answer or something. That I,
Oh, wow. Okay. I like
I'll
that.
take his word on it. I'll be like, yeah, yeah, okay, all right, then that's good enough for me. I don't need to achieve fame and fortune. He did it, and he told me that, hey, what if you did it, you'd be like, okay, I did it. Now I don't need to, so I'll just stop there and
And
be,
same with money. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Fame and
yeah,
fortune.
fame
Same.
and fortune, power and influence.
Exactly.
So,
Only
I,
rich
I,
people.
for me, yeah, fame and fortune never more. Yeah, fame,
Well, no, you wanted to
maybe
be a rich,
influence. I mean, but yeah,
obviously.
something. There's definitely an ego thing
MMA.
that
Yeah.
I that's some sort of drive. Um,
Again, that is the juice of life. So it's not that we should deny ourselves that.
mhm.
It's that attachment to it. It's that sense
Yeah,
that if I achieve it, it's going to bring me all the joy and happiness and sense of
yeah,
well-being and whatnot. When in fact it doesn't.
yeah,
And I don't know why it takes someone to have achieved it to tell the rest of us that it doesn't. Because
yeah,
everybody else says, no, 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 give me the money, I'll be
yeah, yeah,
happy. Or give me the fame and I'll be happy. You know. Uh, but obviously the ones who achieved it are the ones who could tell us that no, it doesn't work that way. It's much harder actually to achieve your sense of peace and tranquility and calm and bliss than it is to go out and make yourself famous or achieve fortune.
yeah.
Maybe I don't know. It doesn't have to be more difficult. It just requires a different path.
Mhm.
Yeah. No, I don't think actually. I take that back. I think it's like anything else. If we apply ourselves to it and we work on it on a daily basis and make it a priority, we'll achieve it in different degrees, but it doesn't matter. It'll be good for us regardless of how far it takes us in the sense of giving us that blissful state. No suffering. That's what I think. That's what I like about Buddhist
Yeah,
teaching. He never said happiness. He just said no
yeah,
suffering.
yeah, 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 yeah. Because happiness is a something to attach yourself. I mean, yeah, that's and
He
I
just
like
said,
that, like do
well,
no harm. I mean, it plays in both ways. So yeah, it's no suffering, and then so as a because we kind of started this conversation with talking about like a moral code. I mean, and it's so hard to like say a moral code as if because everything does need to be taken in case by case scenario, but the kind of the Hippocratic oath of do no harm, which is cause no suffering. I mean, obviously I mean, in some situations you're gonna cause suffering here and there. And we do have to look at things on a case by case scenario, but I think those go hand in hand that, in suffering for yourself, and then at the same time, your obligation to others is to not cause suffering on them. I mean, that seems like a general rule. I rather just agree on that than agree that
Well,
Jesus saved us.
I think if we cause suffering in others, we will suffer. So
Yeah, no, true, absolutely. Yeah, no, true.
there's no way that we could end suffering in ourselves if we're still making other people suffer.
That's true too.
Just
Yeah.
doesn't work. In fact, it's the other way around. When we are not suffering anymore, the people around us will be a huge beneficiary.
Yeah. They go hand in hand. I mean, those are achieved in lockstep.
Lockstep it is,
Yeah.
CD.
Lockstep achieved. You end your suffering and cause no suffering are simultaneous.
Yep, you got that.
Harmonious. Wow, there they are. We figured it out.
All right. Well,
All right.
send my regards to your wife, to Ice,
Yeah.
and kiss that little boy. How old is he now? 4.5?
He turned 4 in January.
Oh, I just turned 4. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, good. Well, thank you for those videos you sent me. I cherish them and I watch them repeatedly. And you're a great photographer, a cinematographer. You know, you do a good job.
Thanks. Now the AI's
You got a
gonna
good eye. You got a good eye for,
AI's gonna beat me though.
videos.
I'm gonna mix them together. Thanks. Well, I'm gonna make a little video of that waterfall because I got some good clips. I went behind the waterfall. The waterfall falls over the rocks, and then I went behind the fall, and then I recorded in slow motion. It looks cool. All the water drops are falling in slow motion, so I'm gonna make a whole video.
Oh, wow.
Of that.
Yeah, very artistic.
Walking and stuff. It should be a nice little video. Yeah.
Okay. Well, when you're done with it, you let me know.
I will. All right.
Okay.
Yeah, and
Well,
that's actually funny too. The videos that the videos that like this video won't get many views, but one of the views that I get the most are when I post a video of a place on Google reviews or something. Like I post it on the maps, Google Maps or something, and then review the place, and then a 5-star that says upload a photo, or I'll upload a photo or video, and those things will blow up. Those things get, just like 5,000-10,000 views or something. It's like I wasn't even trying to, like, I don't know, but those are the things that people care about. They don't care about this. They don't care about our conversation here, but they would love like some take a picture of my food or something and post it at a restaurant or something and gets all kinds of views.
yeah, I see
But
that.
again, that doesn't matter. That's not what we're chasing here. We're definitely getting deeper each time. Some themes come up the same, but it's always nice talking to you. I think this is the 8th one, so do it big.
We'll do the next one.
Yeah, maybe regularly again.
Whenever. Yeah, regularly. Yeah,
I
want
mean,
to. In fact, you said I've done 8 now, which is twice as much as the next person.
I think
so
maybe more than twice. I think that's your record. So if you, I mean, especially if we keep doing like weekly ones, we'll just have to. You got to go for the other record, 7 hours straight. One guest, 7 hours straight.
Well, what I'm hoping for is that when your channel blows up to the point where you're getting, 50,000 views, 100,000 views, that you'll still invite me.
Oh yeah, I'll have to. You'll be that's it. Well, at that time, yeah, we'll see what happens. No, it's fun. It's fun to see. It's gonna evolve. It's gonna incorporate AI somehow, and it's gonna incorporate my land. Whatever. This is a project that I'm doing. But I do see it more as being like it's gonna. I mean, who knows? I might be able to take all these and upload them to AI, and they'll just recreate their own that are based on. It'll have enough input of talking that it will know how I would react to somebody else, and people can talk to me. But then if they actually want to come and see me, they'll have to come to the gathering, which is that's when I don't want to be online at all anymore. And that's 2040. I visualize something like that. I visualize there being I'll have some connection to the outer world, but I'm not going to physically have to do it. I don't want to be on the computer at that time. But I do want to have some sort of connection to the outer world, and I might be able to create an AI avatar that you can talk to, and I'll be able to invite you and tell you directions and tell you how to get here, and or something. I don't know. Yeah, it's
2040. That's a long way.
exactly.
Technologically
By then,
speaking.
I'm
Wow.
sure there'll be a lot of Uh,
A lot of events. That's 15 years. Is that 25 years? Let's see, 25,
no, only
15. Yeah, 16
15.
years. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, no.
Amazing. Amazing.
Yeah.
All right, CD. Let's do this again sometime soon.
All right. Peace out, bro.
It's been a pleasure as always.
All right. Much love.
Oh, are you about to go?
Yeah. Is that? Oh, what? Or we just stop
wanna-
it and you want to do
I
something?
just wanted to say hi and goodbye.
Okay. I mean, if
All
there's
right.
something you want to.
No. Just
Okay.
wanted to just say for you to see me before we say bye.
Okay. All right. See you.
All right. Aloha.
Talk to you soon. Come up to Chiang Mai. You still owe me a visit.
Yeah, we'll talk about that trip next time or
All right.
sometime.
All right.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Love you too, man.
All right. Oh, wait. Did I push the right button? Hey. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.